Hey there, Carrie Clark here with Speech and Language Kids and the SLP Solution. And today we're talking about the Whole30. So this is a bit of a deviation from my normal videos. Normally I talk about speech and language, but today we're talking about food because my children have food intolerances and we are doing an elimination diet to try to figure out what's going on in their little bodies. So we are going to be doing the Whole30, which is why I have all these fun visuals. You guys ready for this? So I'm going to walk you through what we're doing because I know that a lot of children with speech and language problems also have food intolerances. So I'm doing this video today as a kind of an intro of what we're doing, but I am talking to you today as Mom Carrie and not speech language pathologist Carrie because this is not part of our field of speech language pathology. But I felt like I'm doing this at home. I'm going through a lot of work to figure this out. I felt like this would be helpful to some other families as well. So I'm going to talk about this today on the video. But then after today, all of my updates on our Whole30 elimination diet are going to go on the Instagram and Facebook stories only. Because I don't want to clog up the feed of posts because I know that a lot of you are following, most of you, all of you are following me for speech and language things. So if you're not interested in the food stuff, that's totally fine. But if you do want to follow our journey as we're going through this, then you can do that over on Instagram at SLP Solution and on Facebook for SLP Solution. Those will be in the stories. But yeah, so to start off, this is a thing that our doctor has recommended and that our doctor is following with us. So before I get angry comments about how dare I restrict my child's diet of X, Y, or Z, please understand this is a medically necessary thing that my children need for specific medical problems that I'm not going to get into. I will not be answering questions about their medical problems because I feel that is their own private business. But I will be talking about what we're doing and how I'm getting my children on board with an elimination diet and how I'm teaching them about food because I love visuals. So we have some medical problems that we believe are food-based. We've tried other options, and this is where we're at. We need to do an elimination diet. So we have chosen to do the Whole30 diet along with our doctor because the Whole30 is going to eliminate a lot of the top allergens that foods that people react to, in addition to processed foods, which gets rid of additives and sugar. So if you're unfamiliar with it, the Whole30 is for 30 days, you eat meat, fruits, vegetables, nuts, eggs. Okay, so whole foods, real whole foods. And obviously, you can cook them and put them in recipes, but we're sticking with whole foods, not processed foods, not junk food, not anything other than just real whole foods. And then after those 30 days, you add the other foods back in one at a time so that you can actually see what you're reacting to. Because you need to give your system that 30 days to calm down and heal to be able to really see what the foods are that they're reacting to. Because right now we're not sure. Me, in addition to my children, we are clearly having reactions to something, but it's hard to tease out which ingredient is the one. So this is my first visual. I made a countdown for my children because doing something like the Whole30 is overwhelming and intimidating for anyone, let alone a child who doesn't really understand what we're doing. So I created this chart and I said, we're going to be food detectives because we're going to figure out what's making our bodies feel yucky. And by the way, my children are 5 and 8. So all of this is geared toward that level. But we've got the 30 days and they're going to color in one number each day so they can kind of keep track of where we are in the process. And then down here, you can see the reintroduction. So we'll reintroduce beans on this day, and then soy, grains, corn, dairy, and gluten. So you can see we're giving some space, a couple of days in between to check for reactions to each food. So we're going to be documenting and make sure that we are keeping track of symptoms so we can really tell at the end of this which of these big categories are causing problems, and then we can kind of do some more digging if we need to. So I got my kids on board with this. They actually are really excited, which surprised me. But we talked about number one, we don't want to feel yucky. And number two, we want to be big and strong. I have two little boys, and they love the idea of being stronger and faster. And so we talked about how some people's bodies react to certain foods. And if we can figure out what those foods are and take those particular foods out of our diet, that we're going to be able to get stronger and faster. And they were all on board with that. I also told them during these days, we're going to eat nothing but super healthy power foods or superfoods. And they were super excited about that. I was like, imagine how healthy you're going to be after 30 days of eating just super healthy foods. So they're really excited. Now, don't get me wrong. I know they won't be by the time we get to around here because they'll just be hungry for these other foods that we cut out. But the idea that they are on board to start with is huge. And we will get through this together. We are doing it as a whole family. So this is my first visual that I made. And we will see how that goes. But then I also made them this one to kind of talk about this whole idea of what is a healthy carb, what is a healthy fat, and what is a healthy protein. And you can kind of see the different foods that we put in there. And we talked about if you're building a snack, then you're going to pick two. So you're going to have a fat and a carb, or a fat and a protein, or a protein and a carb. So we talked about how to put these things together to build a really healthy snack, and we're calling those power snacks because that sounds cool, right? So that's how we're teaching about this. And by the way, these are board maker symbols from goboardmaker.com, which is one of our sponsors over at SLP Solution and Speech and Language Kids. So we appreciate all of those great graphics because now my children can understand, well, what does carb mean? What is a carb? What is a fat? So we're going through all of that. All right, so if you would like to follow our journey, we are starting our Whole30 on April 1st of 2022. And we're going to do it for all of April, and then we'll reintroduce through May. So if you want to follow us along, head on over to on Instagram, we are SLP Solution, and also the SLP Solution on Facebook. In the stories is where I'm going to post updates of how these things are going and what we're finding success with, because I know that other people have children who need to do elimination diets, and it's so very hard. So I'm happy to answer questions and let you know what we're doing in hopes that that helps with your journey as well. I'm not a doctor, so don't expect medical advice from this. I'm just going to tell you what we're doing. But of course, check with your child's doctor or your doctor before taking on any big diet changes. But this is what we're doing with our doctor, and I'm excited to see how it goes and see how much better we all feel afterwards. So follow my stories if you want to follow that. If you're not interested, no big deal. We won't be posting about it in the post. We'll continue posting our regular speech and language help and advice there. But yeah, I'm excited. So here we go.